Week 1 of the Houston Texans OTA practices are officially in the books. And with that being said, we have a lot to talk about, right? News, notes, highlights, observations. And in this video, I kind of wanted to deep dive into the entire week of practice. Now, usually I do a day by day format. But since the week's over and we're gearing up for the next week, I want to make sure you guys are up to date, especially the people who maybe missed day 1 or day 2 or even day 3, right? So I want to keep you guys updated with everyone who's looking good so far. Now, before we jump into the video and talk about some of the standouts, I need you guys to do me a favor and comment down below who do you think will take a major jump up for this team next season, whether that's a rookie, someone they even just signed, or someone who's been on the team for a while and maybe just hasn't been amazing yet, but could have a Derek Stingley-like of season, right? Last year, Derek Stingley was supposed to be a really good corner. DeMeco Ryans comes in and he makes sure that he puts him in the position to be that guy. And Derek Stingley was exactly that last season, was an absolute monster as a former first-round pick. And you can see a couple of guys already starting to stand out that have that same potential. Now, with that being said, let's dive into the video and talk a little bit about the people who have looked good so far. Now, of course, talking about Derek Stingley, let's talk about him. It has looked like, obviously, like I said, last year looked really good, but it looks like he's really starting to build out his frame, have that build for that DB position, and he looks like he's figured it out, man. He's really come across as one of the best DBs on this football team from day one, from OTAs, and that's what should be happening, right? He's a guy that's really looked really good at an interception in drills, I believe, on Wednesday or Tuesday, one of the days, day 2, actually it was. And a guy that just wants to win football games, right? He's getting bigger, he's getting healthier, and he's a lot more comfortable in this scheme under DeMeco Ryans than he was coming into the season last year. Obviously, that makes sense, but he is looked upon as the leader, the guy who should lead by example, but also be a leader in the locker room and off the field as well. And that is something that he is really trying to improve. And that's huge, right? That is huge, especially for a guy like, Kamari Lassiter and Kalen Bullock. Those two guys as well look really good, right? The rookies began getting acclimated with the NFL, veterans just on day 1 of OTAs, and they're already starting to build this, sort of chemistry, cohesiveness that, it just looks like this team is going to be really, really good just because the team chemistry alone, not even having to do with the ability on the football field, but the chemistry alone is something that's standing out to me. And again, you got to take everything with a grain of salt because there's no pads, there's no, contact. But what we can really look at is first impressions. And to me, Kamari Lassiter, who could be a day 1 starter at the nickel position, and then Kalen Bullock are two guys who are rookies, but at the same time don't really look like rookies either, right? I mean, these guys move very well. They're quick in and out of their breaks and know how to read the receivers' eyes and what they're looking on doing, especially when they get into zone coverage. They do a really good job at reading what the quarterback wants to do and where they're looking as well. And then you talk about two guys who came in here, Jeff Okudah, who was the 3rd overall pick, and then CJ Henderson, who was a 9th overall pick, right? We talked about how DeMeco Ryans, I should say, is so good at making guys hit their true potential, making sure guys are in the best spot to their abilities, to their talents, to succeed at the NFL level. You're talking about two guys who are highly touted coming out of college, are freak athletes, and are able to make some big time plays if they're put in the right position. Yeah, I'm honestly kind of sitting back thinking that, if they're able to do what they did with Derek Stingley and Jeff Okudah and CJ Henderson become what we thought they could be coming out of college, this might be one of the best secondaries next season and over the next couple of years. Dude, this team could be absolutely terrifying. You look at the movement skills, they're big, they're fast, they're lengthy corners that can run with basically anybody. They have some of the best, blend of length and speed. In practice so far, they've absolutely been, really, really well, or really, really good. So you look at Jeff Okudah with that 6'1 frame, 32.5-inch arms, and then freakish athlete speed at 4.48. And then Henderson, 6'4", right? I mean, 4.39 speed. I mean, these dudes could be really, really good. And don't think for 1 second that these guys can't develop into the players we thought they were going to be. Now, before we get any further into the video, guys, do me a big favor, hit that like button just so we can get this video out to more Texans fans around the world, but also subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's free. It doesn't cost anything, okay? Not only will we be covering the rest of OTAs, which I think begins tomorrow, but also mandatory minicamp. We got training camp, preseason, regular season. We're going to be breaking down film once the season starts. So make sure you guys join the family. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. You might as well just, join the family, right? But with that being said, let's jump a little bit back into the video. So really good news here for the Texans. Tank Dell looks okay, man. He's back already. Just a couple of weeks or months after, or actually I think it was 3 weeks ago when he was struck by a bullet. And he looks to be okay, man. He was flying around the practice field. He was getting in and out of his breaks very, very well. It looked like he was perfectly fine out there, and that is definitely something you want to see. Just Tank Dell looking like himself. You can see the excitement, the happiness. He wants to play football, and he wants to do it at a high level, right? And then John Mechie III, who was also returning from an ACL injury, he was out there. He was, working, which is something you want to see again. John Mechie's a guy that they think has a lot of potential, but when you look at the, wide receiver room, there's a lot of talent. And there's not a lot of playing time to go around to a bunch of these guys. But when you talk about this wide receiver room, there is so much talent, man. Right? Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell. That looks like it will be your starting 3 receivers. And speaking of Stephon Diggs, he was not at the first phase of OTAs. We'll see if he comes to week 2. But again, it's not mandatory, so he might not even show up at all. We'll see what happens with that. But you also have Noah Brown, John Mechie, Ben Skoranek, and then, right, those are your backup 3 receivers, and keep in mind, only 6, maybe 7 wide receivers will make the team. And then you have Xavier Hutchinson, you have Johnny Johnson, you have Robert Woods, you have a couple of UDFAs and Jaden and Jackson Janke. So, I mean, there's so many guys here that can really fight for a roster spot, which is going to make the rest of OTAs and mandatory minicamp and training camp so much more fun. Just alone, it's going to be so competitive. We also saw Kenyon Green and Juice Scruggs at practice, which was good as well. There are several O-linemen out, so it allowed Green and Scruggs to work a lot in the interior of the offensive line. Mostly Green was playing in that left guard position that he was drafted to play, in Scruggs, handling that center position, snapping the ball. This O-line last year was very banged up, and when you look at the team right now, they're extremely deep. You got not only Blake Fisher, who they drafted in the second round, but Shaq Mason, Drew Scruggs, Titus Howard, Laramie Tunsil, Kenyon Green, David Sharp, Kendra Green, Jared Patterson. So they have so many guys here that I think can make an impact on this offensive line as long as they can stay healthy. And right now, Green, who missed a lot of last season due to a shoulder injury, is back looking good and looking in good shape. He focused on his body, getting in shape and getting stronger, and that looks like it is true, man. He looks pretty good. Right, also a little bit of Dameon Pierce. They want to see how much he can be as that number 2, maybe even number 1 back. Obviously, they bring in Joe Mixon, and Joe Mixon has been doing such a good job already, just building chemistry with CJ Stroud out the backfield. And, I think he's a guy who can play in multiple different roles in pass pro, getting the ball out, on a quick screen, getting the ball on a little angle route, Texas route. But also, I think Dameon Pierce adds a new dynamic, not a new dynamic because he's been here, but a different dynamic from Joe Mixon. We also saw a little bit of a breakout running back here in, Jawar. Let me know how you say it in the comments down below. Jahar Jordan, the 6th round pick this year. Looks pretty good. Looks like he's definitely in position, to take that number 3 job and kind of run with it, right? But as a 1-2 punch, I think Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce are going to be extremely versatile and add a lot to this running back room going into next year. So I'm excited about that. 6th round rookie Jamal Hill and UDFA Max Tooley, Tariq Barnes all got to see some time, see some reps during practice, 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s, and out of those guys, I think Jamal Hill, the 6th round rookie, was really productive, man. Very quick off his feet. He's bigger than a lot of people expected. His technique and drills, looks like really well, right? Now, we'll see how he continues to develop. especially this linebacker core who did lose Blake Cashman, but at the same time brought in a brand new starting linebacker in Azeez Al-Shaair, who spent time with DeMeco Ryans in San Francisco, still have Christian Harris. So I think they have a really good linebacker core and some guys who can really compete during the rest of camp, and then maybe even make the roster as well. But overall, I thought it was a good week of practice here for Houston. Saw a lot of guys step up in place of injuries and just, start to make a name for themselves. Also, Troy Proud Jr., is a cornerback who looks tough. I like to see what he can continue to bring. Miles Bryant, Desmond King spend most of their position workouts together. Those are guys who are trying to work together, which is really good to see as well. But overall, good week of practice, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, turn on post notifications, comment down below who do you think will have a breakout season here for the Texans. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.